All right, guys, let's talk about Scream 6, which is my most anticipated movie of the year, by the way. I love the Scream franchise. I've watched them dozens of times. Scream 5 or Scream 2022 or 5 Cream, whatever you want to call the last Scream movie. I have seen, I'm not going to lie, I think 9 or 10 times since it came out in theaters last year. And I love the shit out of it. I thought it was great. I love the franchise. It's one of those franchises that to me has some of the most rewatchability out of any slasher franchise. I think that the characters are so well written and so interesting in all six of these movies that it makes me really go back to them a lot. And I love horror franchises and especially Scream. That's one of my top favorites. I really do love the Scream franchise. So hearing Scream 6 was going to be released really was exciting because, like I said, I love the last one. I love the first four, and hearing that they're gonna do another one was awesome because like I said, I love the last one a lot. And it's the second one directed by Radio Silence, who did a great job after Wes Craven's passing, after doing the first four movies, and then they did 5 and 6. And this is going to be a spoiler review after the initial review, so I'm going to say what I think about initially. I'm going to say the basic plot right now. There's not going to be anything that I'm going to spoil yet. So the basic plot, without spoilers, is that Sam, Tara, Chad, and Mindy are in New York now. They have moved on from what happened the year before in Scream 2022. They've moved on into New York, and someone else has donned the Ghostface persona and are after Sam and Tara again. And in terms of that basic plot that I'm not saying anything about, the plot in this is really good. I love the fact that this movie does a great job with these main four characters, and Chad calls them the core four in this movie. The four, Sam, Tara, Chad, and Mindy, who are the survivors of the last movie, the new characters that survived. And I loved that. I really like the chemistry between these characters. The thing I really enjoyed too is that looking at this compared to the main three, Sydney, Gale, and Dewey. Looking at those three compared to the core four, they're really close in terms of caring for them. I really thought that they did a great job writing these characters. I thought all the performances were really great from the main four or the core four, as Chad says in the movie. I really love these new characters. I think that they're very interesting and they're very fun and funny. Mindy especially is really funny, and Jasmine Savoy just has that great charisma, great humor. I really enjoy her in this and the last one. Um, and if there's anything else I can say spoiler free, I'm trying to find something else to say before I say the spoilers. Actually, this movie is the most intense Scream movie I'd say out of all of them, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. It has some nail biting scenes, and I love the Scream movies, but man, this had so many great chase scenes, so many great scenes of suspense and terror. And I usually don't get like scared at horror movies, but man, I just thought this movie did a really good job of being intense with these characters. What they're going through, what they're going to try to survive through, I think is fantastic with these moments. There's a scene in the trailer where they're on a ladder trying to climb out of an apartment to another apartment building, while Ghostface is trying to get into the room at the other side they're trying to escape from. That's really great. And there's a scene at the bodega where Ghostface has a shotgun and Sam and Tara are in there alone trying to run away while not having Ghostface see them. Um, it's really awesome. And then the scene with Gale Weathers is great and intense, and it really kind of partially gives that scene from Scream 2 with Gale versus the Ghostface in that movie a run for his money because it's just so good. So in terms of the intensity of this movie, I was genuinely glad that this movie gave me all that intensity. Because usually the Scream movies, while I really love them all, this one I felt like is one of the most intense after the first one and some of the second one, I guess, because I really felt like I cared so much for these characters. And I also got to talk about the elephant in the room, that Nev Campbell is not in the movie. The big thing that everybody's talking about. Um, and I was really bummed at first, of course. And Nev Campbell has reasons for not being in this movie. That's her choice. And I love her for her performance in those other movies and for this and what she's doing. Like, this is her decision for what she wants to do with herself. Um, and I really was sad that she was not going to be in this. But man, watching this movie, I honestly, it's sad to say, I honestly didn't need her in this movie. Like, and I love her performance in these other movies, but it's good to give her a break because this character, even Nev Campbell said, she doesn't want Sydney to die. She wants Sydney to live, and Sydney is the one that should survive. Um, and Sydney even says that in the last Scream movie, like, I'll survive, I always do. So not having her in this, like, at first, before I saw the movie, I was like, man, I was so bummed. But really, I thought they did a fantastic job with these new characters that we didn't really need her in this one. And maybe they'll bring her back in another one. Maybe they'll get rid of that pay dispute that she had in for this movie, because this movie's making bank. This movie is really doing great. It's got the highest opening of any Scream movie, which is great, and I think it's going to make a lot of money. And it's got a pretty low budget. I think it was 35 million, and it's pretty close to, or I think it's already beaten that for sure. But and the marketing for this is really good. I really love the marketing for this as well. Um, but if I have anything to say before I talk about the spoilers, I just thought this was a really, really well done and effective slasher. Really great characters, really fun, really funny, really just, it's a great combination of everything. And I just really, really dug Scream 6. So, we're at the 7-minute mark. I just noticed on the timer. And let's talk about the spoilers for Scream 6. So, if you haven't seen this movie, of course, come back and watch this later. But man, Scream 6 has a good amount of spoilers. Not as many as I thought. Like, I thought there'd be more, but it still is a great movie regardless. So, the opening kill of this movie was interesting, and it was actually very unique. You got Samara Weaving as this woman, Laura, who's a professor at the school that Tara and Sam, or that Sam, Chad, and Mindy are going to. Or Tara, Chad, and Mindy, not Sam. Sam's the older one. But there's this guy named Jason who Tony Revolori plays. You know, the guy from Spider-Man, the new trilogy that the MCU did, who played Flash Thompson in those. But this guy named Jason, which is funny, his name's Jason, of course. This guy named Jason kills this girl named Laura in a Ghostface costume, and he immediately takes off the Ghostface mask right after he kills Laura. And it's such a shock because you're like, wow, okay, we're going to start the movie where we've got a killer already revealed. And I honestly was kind of expecting that because I wanted a Scream opening with radio silence. I was picturing them to do something similar to this, but I was expecting more of them to have like maybe 3 killers and then one of them gets killed off in the beginning and then maybe the other 2 are revenge afterward or still killing the rest of the movie. But this is similar where you've got a guy and his friend who are trying to finish Richie's movie. Richie, the killer from the last one, Richie Kirch, who killed with Amber in the last Scream. They want to finish Richie's stab movie, which I thought was really cool commentary on how these people are still wanting to, like, people think Richie's innocent. And that's great as well. That conspiracy theory that Sam was the killer, which she was not. She just killed Richie at the end. But anyways, it starts out with Jason killing Laura, and then Jason and his friend are on the phone together, and then Jason realizes that his friend is not alive, he's dead, and he's in the fridge, and then another Ghostface comes and kills Jason. So Jason and his friend are killers, but they're not the killers in the movie, which I thought was very interesting because we've never had that before in a Scream movie, where you got 2 sets of killers, but they're killed off immediately. I thought that was really cool and just really unique because I haven't really seen that in any Scream movie. The TV show kind of did similar stuff to that, but not the same. But it reminded me a little bit of the TV show, and I wonder if they took slight inspiration from that because there were multiple killers from that who killed other killers in that show as well. If you've seen the Scream TV series, which I recommend seasons 1 and 2 for sure. Season 3 was not good, but seasons 1 and 2 were really good. Definitely different than the franchise movies, but definitely I'd recommend the show. Little recommendation through this review for the Scream TV series. But yeah, it opens up where that's a really cool opening. That's something very surprising, very different. Sam and Tara and Chad and Mindy, they're all on different wavelengths of thinking, is this going to happen again? Sam's thinking, yes, there's a killer again. Tara wants Sam to stay out of her life. Tara thinks Sam is too close to her and won't leave her alone, which I like because Sam is just the overprotective one because of what she's been through and what Tara's been through. But Sam thinks that Tara is repressing going through this horrible thing with what happened with them 3 days. For 3 days, 1 year ago is what Tara said. Like, it happened for 3 days with Scream 5. Like, what happened all accumulated in 3 days. And so I really like that. It really does a great job with building these characters, like I said, because Tara doesn't want to be with Sam. She wants Sam to leave her alone. She wants to be more independent. She wants to not keep living in the past. And Tara also says this to Gale Weathers too, when Gale Weathers is introduced into the movie, where Tara says to Gale that you're afraid that you're not going to be relevant when Ghostface is not here. And that's a good burn to Gale. I like that. And Gale Weathers, I got to mention. So, of course, you don't have Sidney. Dewey's, of course, dead from the last one. So you've just got Gale Weathers as the legacy character at first, until you get Kirby. But at first you get Gale Weathers, who is back to her own ways, which is honestly kind of a bummer, because in the end of Scream 2022, Gale Weathers said she's going to write a book about Dewey instead of writing a book about the killers, because she wants the killers to die in anonymity. She didn't want the killers to get notoriety like the others did. But then this movie starts and Gale Weathers is back to her old way. She wrote a book. She made Sam out to look like the villain, and Sam's pissed at her, and so is Tara. And I like that scene where Gale's introduced and Sam tries to punch Gale, and Gale goes backward, and she goes like this, like she knows she's going to get hit, like with Sidney. But then Tara decks her in the face, and Tara knocks Gale back. I thought that was great. I really like that scene. I like the fact that Tara says to Gale, like, you're not relevant anymore, like, without Ghostface. Like, you can't just leave it alone. Which connects to the story of Tara just wanting to get rid of the past. She wants to forget the past of what happened a year ago, and she wants Sam to forget about it. She wants Gale to forget about it. I think that's great. What I really liked about this movie was bringing Kirby back as well. I loved Kirby in Scream 4, and of course everybody under the moon has said, oh, she didn't die, because you didn't see her die. You saw her writhing on the ground in Scream 4 after Charlie stabbed her, and she was just bleeding out, but he didn't see her dead. And there's a great scene later in the movie where Kirby says to Mindy, like, I did technically die for 4 minutes. And whenever I woke up again, I decided to go and do something about it. So she became part of the Atlanta FBI, and she says to Mindy, like, I'm not scared of these monsters anymore. I want them to be scared of me. And I really liked that about Kirby, and I really loved seeing her again. It was great seeing Hayden Panettiere again. Like we said, she was not in Scream 5, but she was missing for a while in terms of she didn't really have an agent, I don't think. I think that this is her first film she's acted in 5 years. She has not acted for 5 years. I think she said for physical health, mental health, she took a break, and that's great. And whenever Scream 5 happened, they couldn't find her in terms of getting her agent, and I think is what the case was, and I might be wrong, but they, of course, brought her back, and they had an Easter egg in Scream 5 of her being the survivor, but having her back in this movie is really fantastic, and I love that she connects to it, and I think that that's great with not having Sidney in this, because then you've got Kirby and Gale, and I thought that was really good chemistry between them both. I like that scene where Gale says to Kirby, like, "You're just a kid. You're not part of the FBI." And Kirby's like, "I'm 30. What are you talking about?" Um, I thought that was really good humor. I thought that all the characters are really fun, and I really enjoyed them. Um, Even all the red herring characters, like Anika, who is Mindy's girlfriend, I thought was fun, even though she didn't make it that long. And the uh, the two characters, the roommate, I forgot what her name is, the roommate of Sam and Tara, the redhead, I forgot her name, blanking on. I think it starts with an M. I thought she was fine too at first. And then you've got Jack Champion's character, who I'm blanking on again. And it's kind of bad I'm blanking on these two characters because, of course, spoilers here, they're two of the killers. Um, but I thought they were fine. I liked it more towards the end because they had more to do when they became the killers. But I also like Del Monterey. How do you pronounce his name? Like the dude who's the cop. I liked him. I like the fact that this guy does a really good job of being suspicious, not really suspicious, and you didn't know it was him, and then it was him at the end. I thought that was great. Um, I really believed that guy before you realized he was the killer. Um, Now, like I said, there's some intense scenes in this movie. There's a scene where they are all they're trying to get out of the apartment building because Ghostface is running in and trying to get to the other side where Sam's boyfriend is, that she doesn't want to tell people it was her boyfriend, but they're trying to get on the ladder over there, and everybody survives except for Anika, which is Mindy's roommate, who falls off the ladder because Ghostface pushes it, and she slams her head on a garbage can or garbage machine, and slams her head on the ground, and it's pretty brutal. It's pretty sad, but that's an intense scene. Like I said, the scene at the bodega is really intense with Ghostface shooting with a shotgun, which we haven't seen that before either. That's great. We have seen killers with the guns, but it's after they're demasked. They're not wearing the suit, except for this one, which is great. Also, the Ghostface shrine is really cool. The fact that that they have a full shrine of killings from the other movies. They have all the Ghostface outfits from each of the killers from each of the other movies. So Billy, Stu, Roman, Jill, Charlie, Richie, and Amber, like, they have all their suits and masks. And I like the fact that their masks are used in each killing. The killer is using this. So the first kill, they leave the mask from Amber, from 5, and then the next one they leave Jill or Charlie's mask, who's whenever Sam's psychiatrist gets killed, they leave the mask for Jill or Charlie from 4, and then or no, it's 3 that they leave Roman's with that guy, but I forgot where the 4th one is, where they leave the 4th mask, or maybe they just leave it at the bodega, whatever, and then having Mrs. Loomis's mask, Nancy Loomis, and then having Billy and Stu's mask at the end. It's really cool that they're doing a countdown mechanism with each killer, but going backwards. I think that's really awesome. And I really like that. I like the fact that you get this really great scene. And this is a slight criticism in a way where it's like, this isn't realistic, but also this movie isn't realistic in the first place, but it was kind of a extreme in this movie, which I was fine with because I love these characters, but I feel like all the main characters, like, had a shield to survive this movie, no matter what. There's a fantastic scene with Gale, and she is in her apartment building with her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend gets killed, and Gale is chased through the house, and it's an excellent chase scene, but she is stabbed a lot. And she gets a weak pulse because Sam and Tara come and save her right before she dies. She has a weak pulse. They take her to the hospital at the end of the movie, they say that Gale and Mindy are going to live because Mindy also gets impaled in the subway, and she looks like she's dead too. And Chad gets stabbed a million times toward the end. So all 3 of these characters should have probably most likely realistically died, I guess. I've never been stabbed 30 times, so I don't know what that feels like. But man, I feel like Chad would have not made it. But this movie kind of has a main character armor on it, which doesn't completely bother me in that completely, because I do love these characters. I do want them to live, but I feel like they're gearing it up to where if the next movie happens, whenever the next movie happens, some of these characters are going to get killed quick because they've been stabbed so many times. It's kind of like Dewey, where Dewey was stabbed like in the first two movies he was stabbed like 9 times, and then in Scream 5 he was stabbed like the same amount, and then he was dead. So I think they're building that up to having one of these characters not make it through the next movie. But yeah, they were great. There were great scenes of them surviving. It just feels slightly unrealistic, and that's weird to say in a movie like this, which is not realistic. But I thought that was really interesting, that they didn't kill off any of the main four, or they didn't kill off Gail Kirby either, which I thought was really, really great. I really liked how many people they had live. Like, that was genuinely surprising. Oh, and Sam's boyfriend lived, but I like the fact that Sam, like Sydney in the second one, said, "Stay away from me, because I don't know if you're a killer or not," and she kept him away, and he survived, and I thought that was awesome. The ending with the killer reveals. Now, this one, I can argue that there's some people that are going to not like this reveal, and at first, I thought it was fine, and I'm going to watch this again next weekend. I'm going to see it again, but the killer reveals. The killer reveal is the cop, Officer Mulaney, who said earlier in the movie that his kid died by Ghostface. And I thought they were going to reveal, oh, it's going to be somebody from another Scream movie. Like, what if he's the dad of, like, say, somebody from Scream 4 that was killed? No. He was the father of Richie, and he orchestrated these killings with his two kids, the redheaded girl and Jack Champion's character. Three killers, and we haven't had three killers in a Scream movie either, which is great. Scream 3 had one, and every other Scream movie had two. Besides this one, this had three. And that's really cool. I like that a lot. I liked the motivation, but it is straight out of Scream 2, because in Scream 2, Nancy Loomis is trying to kill Sydney, and Mickey orchestrate a killing spree because Sydney and Gail killed her son, Billy Loomis. So Nancy Loomis went on a killing spree with Mickey in Scream 2. In this one, the Officer Mulaney is Richie's dad, and his brother and sister all orchestrated another killing because Sam killed Richie. And they orchestrated this conspiracy theory online that Richie was innocent and Sam was the killer. And I really love that part about the story. I think that's fascinating, and I really enjoyed what these characters did and how horrible they were to Sam. And I feel like Sam is such a character that you can feel so much sympathy for, and you really root for, because she is the daughter of Billy Loomis. She is unapologetically pushed to the edge by everybody because of her heritage, and I think that is great. So that reveal, I thought, was very similar to Scream 2, but I really did like it, but I could see why people could get annoyed by it. I loved the sitting in the third act, the movie theater, abandoned movie theater with all the crime stuff, which was shown earlier in the movie, but they go back, of course. I thought that was great. I didn't believe that Officer Mulaney was going to be the killer, because he was so convincing whenever his daughter was killed in the apartment, the redheaded one. He was so convincing, I thought that he would not be the killer. And I thought that's why I should think he's the killer, because he's so convincing. And I think that the actors don't know who the killer is until they film their scenes, and then you see the third act. They do the third act afterwards. So that's great. So the actors didn't even know who was going to be the killer or killers. So I thought that was awesome. This third act was really, really fun, because the fact that you've got Sam going against all of these three killers, and Sam and Tara, and the fact that Tara throughout the movie is telling Sam to let me go, stop, leave me alone, stop being pushed into my life so hard. And at the end of this movie, Tara falls over the edge of this foyer in the theater, or this balcony in the theater, and Sam's holding on to Tara. Tara says, "Let me go," but she grabs Sam's knife, which is Billy Loomis's knife. Tara falls. She stabs Jack Champion's character through the back of the mouth, and it was great. It was such a great gory moment. I love that. And I love that Tara did a killing, like, because she's trying to save everybody, save her sister. That was wonderful. Um, and I love the fact that Officer Mulaney is trying to make Sam become Billy Loomis. She's trying to make her become the killer again, like her dad. And I love the fact that Sam dresses up as Ghostface, and gets Officer Mulaney and stabs him right through the eye. That was awesome. And also the two kids get shot in the head, both of his kids. That was great. And Kirby does a final blow with Jack Champion's character. So Kirby kills a Ghostface, which is awesome and redeeming because she survived Scream 4. That's fantastic. So I love the ending. I loved pretty much everything about it. I thought it was really, really fun, even though people could say there's small detractors, of course. But, you know, I shouldn't feel that annoyed at like those small detractors because I really did love the movie overall. I thought it was fantastic. It was so fun. It ends on a note where it's happy, bittersweet, but like Sam's got that darkness inside of her. What if she uses it later again? I thought this was awesome. I really loved it, and I think that Radio Silence is so good with these two movies. And the Scream franchise is in great hands that they keep doing more. I know there's going to be a 7th. They're already said they're going to do one. Maybe they'll bring Neve Campbell back. That'd be awesome. But man, I was surprised how great this was even without her. She's fantastic already in these movies. But man, without her in it, it was still really incredible. And it just did a good job of establishing these 4 characters from the last movie. But yeah, I can't wait for Scream 7. I really love Scream 6. Like I said, it's one of my favorite franchises. This one was not a letdown at all. It was such a fun time. It was such an entertaining time. My entertainment value was through the roof for this one. So I loved Scream 6. Thank you guys for watching if you watched all the way through. Really fun time. I'll do more videos soon. But yeah, for now, that's it for today. And I'll see you guys later.